Like the Americans, the British are taller than I. Venerable Sir, Mr. President, colleagues and friends. My friend Walter Jayasinghe, a few minutes ago, repeated a truism held sacred by many people when he said that he is tired of politicians. Walter, you must forgive me if I take a slightly different approach. I am just tired. We have had a long day here. It has been a good day. It has been a productive day. And most of all, it has been a day on which I think we have been able to disprove that even when we leave the country of our birth, we are afflicted by a capacity for disunity. It has been said of Sri Lankan groups, political, ethnic, social, cultural, or whatever, that all these groups are like the amoeba. They split. Ours is the only country in the world which has not one Trotskyist party but 7. So if there are 30 or 20 or whatever number of groups in this country devoted to this or that aspect of life in Sri Lanka, that is not something really to be ashamed of. It is a reflection of our national condition, but it is something to be proud of, that people from different continents, from different cities, obviously, as this afternoon session has shown, with very widely differing points of view, have been able to get together today with one single motivation, the motivation of preserving the integrity and the unity of Sri Lanka. I warmly commend that feeling, that attitude, and the action you have taken. In my capacity as ambassador to the United States from Sri Lanka, I have been privileged to know that over the past year, the leadership of the World Federation of Sri Lankan Associations rested in North America. All of the Sri Lankan expatriate groups that were connected with the World Federation and its activities in North America can take pride in the fact that they have worked hard, not in a spirit of divisiveness, not in a spirit of rancor, not in a spirit of anger, but in a spirit of harmony, in a spirit of effectiveness, to persuade their fellow Americans of what the realities are in Sri Lanka. They have been able to help their fellow Americans sift truth from error, fact from fiction. I personally salute them, and I would like, if I may make this request to all of you, that you join me in recognizing the effectiveness of that group in North America by a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been said that there is no bow like a diplomatic bow. And with this captive audience in front of me, I could go on for hours and hours, but I don't think that would be quite fair. As you know, for the benefit of those who don't know me, I was a journalist before I was a diplomat, and I spent the first 24 years of my working life either being asked to or asking others to keep it short. That's very good advice. I'm going to wind up in a few minutes, but before that I just want to make 2 points. The first is a reinforcement of a point made earlier in the day, namely that even when we are confronted by what we consider unduly harsh or false assessments made by prestigious organizations such as the media and those dedicated to the preservation of human rights in this world, we should not react either hysterically or defensively. The Western media have come in for a fair amount of criticism today. So have groups that are devoted to human rights. In some cases, the record shows such criticism is more than justified. I have known one group that went into Sri Lanka and produced profound assessments of the past, present and future in under 8 days. Even rabbits don't produce that fast. But I think we have to concede as well that there are very genuine, very well-meaning people who monitor human rights, sometimes because it is their profession and they are paid to do it, but at other times because they really believe in what they're doing. And I think if we believe in what we are doing, if we believe in what we say, if we believe in what we say about ourselves and our country, there is no need for us to feel ashamed or feel defensive in confronting any organization that is interested in the question of human rights in Sri Lanka. There is in fact a great deal of examination and analysis that I would like expatriates like you to do on the whole question of human rights. For instance, take the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which coincidentally was adopted by the United Nations in the same year that we became independent. To what extent is this document, which in many ways is considered a very benign document, to what extent is this document a product of a tyranny of the majority at the United Nations? To what extent, therefore, is it an expression of neocolonialism? If you look carefully at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, you will find that the collective rights of ownership are not protected. The right to own privately is protected. In other words, from the time he gets up in the morning to the time he sleeps at night, every citizen of the Soviet Union is guilty of breaking human rights. Would that have happened? Would you have got that declaration if you had a kind of different composition of the United Nations? Or look at it another way. As some of you may know, the main religious organizations represented in Sri Lanka met some time ago under the auspices of the Sri Lanka Foundation to examine the whole philosophy of human rights. And it was the conclusion of the Buddhist and Hindu representatives at that meeting that in terms of their own beliefs, by which I presume are meant the whole karmic panoply, that in terms of their own beliefs, it was unconceivable for a human being or an human institution to talk of human rights without at the same time thinking about the rights of animals and therefore the whole question of ecology and the environment. Now there is nothing of that written into the Universal Declaration. But this is the way the world is. There are times at which different people, different groups dominate, and one has to live with that as a fact of life. But that does not mean that one has to be defensive. That means more than ever that one has to go out and present the truth, because it is the truth that matters. Very often you will find that what is really the problem when people discuss each other and fail to understand each other is that there is a basic conflict of perception. I know a Sri Lankan expatriate who lives 5 miles from where Dr. Ganepola lives. When he had lived long enough in the States to take his first holiday home, when he was leaving the JFK airport, all his American friends told him, please be very careful when you go back to what was then Ceylon. Please be very careful. You have been here 7 years. You have lost all the antibodies you had in your system when you came. When you go back, you will find that all the water in Asia is polluted. So don't drink. So the young man went back. I don't know whether he drank water, but he drank. Anyhow, finally his holiday was over and he was due to return. And at Katnaka airport, his mother told him, Puta, when you go back, be very, very careful in New Jersey. All the air in North America is polluted. Don't breathe. So we have conflicts of perception. and as people who are interested in our great traditions of oneness, of humanity, of respect for truth, and above all, of commitment to unity, I ask you, go out into your towns and cities, your societies and workplaces, and give your people, give your friends the benefit of right perception. Thank you.
I only have one announcement to make. The executive committee members of the World Federation, representing about 8 countries, met last night, and the following office members have been elected for the World Federation next year. President, Mr. Douglas Wickramaratne. All these names, by the way, were unanimously agreed. Vice President Professor Veeramanthry. Secretary Navaratne. And the Treasurer, Mr. Priyavijay Fonseca. We are very grateful for the Sinhala Association of UK for conducting this magnificent convention today. I know that this is not by one person, so I do not want to thank one person. There must be about a number of people who has done this tremendous job, and I would like a word of applause for everybody here.